Well, welcome everyone this evening to the Tarrant County College District September 23rd, 2021 meeting of the Board of Trustees. Before we get started, I just want to welcome everyone and then also thank everyone that was involved in the preparation of all these materials for all of us. It takes a lot of effort and we appreciate that. Chancellor, thank you very much. And to all the employees that supported that, I still feel that one of our strengths is our employees and the Chancellor and the staff, and it means so much for all the support that y'all give us, so thank you for that. Let's see, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, and we have some public comments here. We'll call the first person, Diana Boger, please. If you can come to the podium. And you have 3 minutes, Ms. Boger, and we have a timekeeper back in the back here. Okay, thank you.
I'm Diana Boger. There you go. And I grew up in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, and attended O.D. White High School and TCJC when it was TCJC. I went to college at UTA. And all the time I was at college, in all the classes I had growing up, I never recall race being a topic for teachers. As a tax-paying citizen, I am going to be learning more about TCCD and its operations. At last week's meeting, I was participating virtually. A couple of things caught my attention and my ire during the hiring and recruiting presentation. I was very glad to hear that one board member noticed there was a heavy focus on the demographics and how the focus would be on hiring the underrepresented Hispanic Latino faculty members, and asked a question. Are you hiring based on experience and qualifications or the color of your skin? I was glad to hear the answer was experience and qualifications. We have a lot of teachers in our family, and all the teachers, the good teachers in my life and that I know, teach from the heart, has nothing to do with the color of their skin. So in closing, I'm going to also say that I was disappointed, and I have been disappointed since I've just been watching these virtual meetings over the past few weeks and reading, where I see the use of the word equity in all your mission statements and in every presentation that I've witnessed. Equality is what this country and our Constitution calls for, and equality should be what you focus on as you are all teaching all of our children and our future leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boger. Thank you for your input, and this board will take that under advisement. Mary Lowe.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mary Lowe. I am the chairman of an organization called Moms for Liberty, and I represent the whole of Tarrant County. Our organization is a national organization, and we are over 80,000 members strong, and we are in 42 states in the United States. We have one mission, and that is to hold elected officials accountable to the taxpayers' and parents' rights. And so I have been watching your board meetings, and I've been going to all the local school district board meetings, the ISDs, high schools, and we'll continue to be observing them. And in my observations, 6C was also very troubling to me. We live in a community that is very divided right now across the nation about what is happening in education. And the attention of what's happening in education is no different at the collegiate level than it is at the elementary level. Race is not a topic of consideration, so much so that House Bill 3979 was passed this year. Not only should it not be a consideration in lowering a standard for achievement, and achievement can be considered hiring, But it shouldn't be changed no matter what, no matter who you're talking to. Because if you're having a conversation with someone who is considered a minority, or used to be referred to as a minority race or culture, they don't want the standard lowered for them. If they are offered a job, they don't want to find out they were offered the job because of their color. They want to find out they were offered the job because of their accomplishments being respected. As a taxpayer, I do not want to be faced with an institution being sued or having to keep someone on staff who is not capable of being qualified to do that job because they were hired for the wrong reason. And when you make decisions based on something other than qualifications of achievement, you set yourself up for those types of litigation. So I'm asking you to make sure that in your hiring practices and for the standard of this community college, that you focus strictly on the highest level of achievement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your statement. This board will take that into advisement. Thank you. Let's see, Jerry Fontenberry.
My name is Jerry Fontenberry. I have lived in Tarrant County for 45 years. I'm very proud of Tarrant County. But I'm here today to remind you of something you already know. The Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972 is a United States federal law which amended Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to address employment discrimination against all minorities. Pretty simple. Who signed Title VII? That's a question. You don't have to answer it. I'll answer it another way. The other thing I asked myself is, was it a good thing? Well, let me answer it this way. What is a tree without leaves? Think about that. You don't have to answer that. I'll answer it for you. There are many types of trees. And leaves are a pretty important part of a plant. A leaf is responsible for making food for the plant through a process called photosynthesis, where it uses sunlight to turn carbon dioxide into sugar that the plant uses for energy. Although leaves have the same job, each leaf looks completely different from another, scientifically proven. The federal government, established by the Constitution, is required as a compass to growth in our country and in our people. No one elected group of people should rule our opportunity to live and produce. For trees, if given the opportunity to produce leaves, will provide life to all mankind. It's called oxygen. God provides much for mankind in His Word to provide life on earth. Some words here. Merit, communication skills, character, qualifications. Therefore, give everyone an opportunity to excel. Don't be looking for the visual. Look for the passion one can bring to accomplishing goals. But make sure all faculty has a credibility to create photosynthesis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fontenberry. Appreciate it. The next one is, I believe it says Zach Penn. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Hello, Mr. Penn.
Good evening, Board. I'm Zach Penn. I live in the Tarrant County area. I've gone to Tarrant County Schools and Abilene Christian University. I'm here tonight to speak on specifically 6C. What I do for a profession is specifically look at people's talent. Look and see if they're qualified based not on their color, but rather their character, and if they're qualified. So I would like you guys to reconsider what we're looking at in hires, not based on color, but based on qualifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. Erica Porter.
Good evening. My name is Erica Porter. I am a board member of Moms for Liberty, and I am here to discuss the same thing my fellow people have mentioned earlier, which is 6C. My concern is I grew up in Tarrant County. I graduated from Everman High School, attended TCJC back when it was that, and went on to Dallas Baptist University. While I believe that it's important to see diversity in organizations, I do not believe that that is a qualification that you all should consider in hiring your faculty. The melanin count does not do anything to help educate the students. I'm also as a parent, I put a child through TCC as well. So your job is to equip students to go on, not to be concerned about the makeup of those that are in the room. That's not the world that they're walking into, where everybody looks like them when they walk into a corporation. And to sort of try and make that utopian situation is not beneficial to our students. So I ask that when you were considering hiring faculty, that you do that solely based on their qualifications and how they're going to further support and properly educate the students that attend TCC. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. I believe we have Mr. Chuck Kelly.
Good evening. My name is Chuck Kelly, and I live at 705 Hillside Drive in Colleyville, Texas. I am a parent of a current TCC student, and I represent myself and my family. I was made aware of your September 16th TCCD board work session, and as I was viewing the video, I came across item 6C in the Chancellor's reports, Faculty Recruitment and Retention Plan Presentation. If I am understanding the presentation correctly, the goal is to focus the recruitment and retention of faculty to be more reflective of the student body demographics. In this presentation, it was identified that there was one racial demographic that was underrepresented on faculty when compared to the percentage of the student body. While I believe that the goal of this presentation is focused on supporting the student body by showing the students that the faculty reflects their ethnic makeup, I feel the need to call out a serious flaw in this plan. I understand the temptation to focus on charts and graphs that are designed to prove at this point and create the impression that the faculty is not diverse and supportive of all the student body. But the goal of hiring staff should only focus on one thing, the best individual for the role. The Equal Opportunity Employment Commission was created to prevent discrimination in hiring, retaining, and promoting of employees. The presented plan would appear to focus recruiting, hiring, and retention on one specific racial group. This is directly counter to the direction of the EEOC, which specifically states race, color discrimination, and work situations. The law forbids discrimination when it comes to any aspect of employment, including hiring, firing, pay, job assignments, promotions, layoffs, training, fringe benefits, and any other term or condition of employment. So, in my understanding, in promoting one specific race ethnic group, you are in fact discriminating against all others. As with many well-intended plans, there are unintended consequences that can also arise. If you execute this plan, the first time you choose to hire from the identified group, you have now opened yourself up to discrimination lawsuits from any other qualified candidates that do not fall into this group. I hope you can all see that this would damage the reputation of Tarrant County Community College District as an institution. It would also result in many lawsuits and untold costs if the cases are decided in the applicant's favor. As this plan is now part of the public record, it can and will be used as a basis for any discrimination lawsuits. My suggestion: remove any reference to race by removing all demographic information when presenting candidates to be reviewed. I hope we can all agree that the goal of hiring and retaining instructors for Tarrant County College District is to hire the best possible candidates for the role with no other qualifiers. The goal is to enhance the reputation of the college district and to make it the best possible choice for the students that the district serves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Ms. Brenda White?
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I, too, watched that September 16th 6C portion of the video, and to tell you the truth, I was kind of outraged because it was as almost as if this plan had already been set in motion and this was what was going to happen. So only one specific group would be employed. Those were the only candidates that were going to be sought, and based on one specific racial group, and that was the way it was going to be. There was nothing you guys were going to be able to say on it. So I believe that is very short-sighted. I think that it opens this board up. If you condone it and look past this, I think it opens the board up to the Tarrant County College up to lawsuits. It's discriminatory. It is. There are civil rights laws in place, to protect employee hiring. So this goes against, everything, everything that is right and reasonable. It is also not the real world. You know what I mean? These students shouldn't be expected to be coddled, from the time they enter the campus with only, their own race, teaching them and in the classroom. That's not the real world. We should be seeking unity, not division. And hiring practices like this only sows division. And do we really want that? Do we want Tarrant County College District known for discriminatory hiring practices and division in the community? I don't think that's what we want. I know as myself as a citizen, that's not what I want. So I sincerely hope that you guys will, take a look at this, hire the best candidate for the best job, and not the minimum. That was another thing I heard in that video. Minimum standards would be applied to those specific candidates. I mean, why would we hire based on that? Minimum standards. You should hire the best candidate, no matter what their race or ethnicity is, and for the best job, and expect them to do the best job for these students as a whole. So we are a united, nation, all creeds, all colors, all everything, and we should strive for unification, not division. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. White. Thank you all for your comments. This board will take these under advisement. Okay. We'll move on to the board business items. We have item 3A, consideration of resolution providing for the levy and collection of an annual ad valorem tax on all property within the boundaries of Tarrant County College District on January 1st, 2021, except such property as may be exempt from taxation. Ms. Ionization.
Good evening. So as we discussed in August, when you considered the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, the board adopted a proposed tax rate that is the same as last year's rate of 1.13017 per $100 evaluation. We have since advertised as required by law, and we are to hold a public hearing this evening and then adopt that levy. I will share with the group that we are not in excess of the no new revenue tax rate, and so that's good news. And so I think that we've been good stewards. I will share also that the same resolution adopts the same tax exemptions from prior years that have been in place. With that, if you want to open the public hearing, take any public comments, and then close the public hearing and take action, that would be advisable.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alanis. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Alanis? Okay.
0.13017. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Gates, do we have any public comment? I have none. Okay. There are no public comment, no further questions. So we'll go ahead. This concludes the public hearing. Thank you, Ms. Alanis. Okay, we'll move on to the board action. 3B, approval of August 12, 2021 work session meeting minutes. Do we have any questions or comments on that? Move approval. That's by Dr. Morrison.
I second it.
Second by, Mr. Greenhill. Sorry, I'm looking for something here, Mr. Greenhill. Okay, let's see, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and approval of August 19, 2021 Board of Trustees meeting minutes. Any questions or comments on that?
Move for approval.
Move for approval by, was that Mr. Hornsby?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone want a second? Okay, Mr. Kine? Do you have a question?
I think we need to take action and approve the item 3A on the agenda.
That's right. I apologize. I didn't notice after closure of the public hearing, you need to entertain
Okay.
a motion and
Okay.
take action.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
If it's appropriate, at this time, I
Yes.
move approval of item 3A on the agenda, which relates to the levy and collection of annual ad valorem
Okay.
taxes.
Thank you.
I second that.
Motion, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. Mr. Barr, motion, and Mr. Greenhill seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you for that, Mr. Barr. So we are on, did we get a motion and a second for the 19th?
Yes.
We did. Was that Mr. Hornsby and Mr. Greenhill? Okay.
I'm Mr. Kine.
Mr. Kine, okay, sorry. You should see my paper here. I've written all sorts of notes on it. I can't even, all right. Let's see. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We'll go on to trustee announcements. We'll just start over here at the end of the table, if that's okay. Ms. Wood, do you have any announcements or activities you want to report?
Board President, can you hear me?
Yes. We can.
Board President and fellow trustees, as a new member of this board, it was just a few weeks ago that I took the oath of office. In fact, each one of us took an oath to faithfully execute, to the best of our ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America and of this state. I pray we will remember this oath. The role of the trustee at TCC is to set policy for the college, and when setting policy, to assure the college doesn't create a system which violates state or federal law. Setting up a system that hires based on any criteria other than the best qualified person for any position is against TCC policy. If TCC implements the plan introduced by Vice Chancellor LeBlanc, this is not just bad policy, it's also a violation of the federal law and our oath. HR Director Gloria Maddox-Powell stated at the last meeting, in quotations, "We will allow campuses to continue to hire, but HR will be involved in the hiring process," end quote. The board needs to know that the role of HR in the interview process. How will HR implement the stated goal of hiring based upon race without violating federal law? The current hiring process for faculty is to appoint faculty in the same discipline at the campus to conduct interviews and select faculty based upon merit. The subject matter expertise demanded of the faculty requires faculty in the same discipline to select the best candidate for the position without inference from HR requiring hiring based upon national origin. I'll read to the board the TCC policy based on federal law. Equal employment opportunity. The college district prohibits discrimination in any term or condition of employment or in the application for employment on the basis of race, color, national origin, sexual orientation, religion, gender, physical or mental disability, veteran status, or age. An employee or applicant for employment who perceives that he or she has been treated in a discriminatory manner on the basis of race, color, national origin, sexual orientation, religion, gender, physical or mental disability, veteran status, or age may file a complaint with the Executive Director of Human Resources. The person to contact for the employment at TCC has been, The person to contact if an applicant for employment at TCC has been treated in a discriminative manner is Glenda Maddox-Powell. The board will remember Glenda Maddox-Powell from the September 16th, 2021 work session when she told the board she'd be setting policy to implement the policy of hiring based upon race. Let me repeat, the person in charge of hearing complaints on discrimination in hiring is the person setting up the procedure to hire based on race. The administration, through Dr. LeBlanc, has stated a vague request to promote faculty hiring faculty based on national origin. No request has been for the board to approve this change in policy. The board is responsible for setting policy at TCC, and the board must be given an opportunity to vote on the change in policy. The board must be assured that any hiring procedures do not violate federal and state law. We must be assured that any action taken by the Vice Chancellor directing HR to implement a hiring policy to hire faculty based on national origin will not expose the college to liability. Vice Chancellor LeBlanc stated a concern with faculty retention without providing this board with any explanation from the faculty. We've not seen any exit interviews from faculty leaving TCC or independent third-party surveys or current faculty members about the work environment. This board needs more information on the retention issue to begin discussions to address the retention issue. Board, please understand the role of the college is to prepare students for success by hiring and retaining the very best subject matter expert with the highest ability to communicate the most complicated concepts to assure student success. My question is this. Has TCC counsel, Ms. Bracken, been consulted concerning the hiring policy? If yes, this board needs to see the opinion provided by the council on the hiring policy.
Okay, Mr. Kine, thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Can
evening.
you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to share with everyone, it's a couple of weeks beyond the 20th anniversary of 9/11, but I had a really poignant intersection between that anniversary and Tarrant County College that I wanted to share with the greater group. I returned home from a trip through the Dallas-Fort Worth airport a couple of weeks ago, right after 9/11, and called for an Uber. And I was so excited to see that my Uber driver, when he pulled up, had a 1st Cavalry Division sticker on his car, which was the unit that I had been assigned to during one of my deployments to Iraq. And so I got to talking with this young man who was driving the Uber and learned about his time in service. And he had been a combat engineer, had been wounded during a deployment, and had returned home to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, where he was so excited to just have been enrolled at the Northwest campus, using his post-9/11 GI Bill to complete his pilot's license. And so we were talking about which portions the GI Bill paid for and which portions did not, but he was just thrilled that he was able to come home and do something that he had always dreamed of doing as a benefit of his service. So I thought that was an important reminder really to all of us about what a tremendous resource Tarrant County College is in North Texas for our veterans and their families, and it absolutely has the power to transform lives. So these people are our neighbors, and they're citizens of this county, and I was just really, really glad that he was my Uber driver.
Thank you for sharing. That's a great story. Thank you. Mr. Parr.
Well, I just had one observation. Since the administrative offices have moved over to the Trinity River campus and the board meetings are being held here, I've had a number of opportunities to be in the halls of these buildings, and I find it really exciting to see the activity level and the diversity of the students that are here, and the general enthusiasm and momentum that seems to be on campus. And I've been on all the campuses at one time or another, but to be here early yesterday morning when the garage was full and the hallways were full, and I wasn't even in the classrooms, but it was exciting, and I just wanted to acknowledge that we're impacting a lot of lives here with what's going on at Tarrant County College.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Hornsby.
Thank you, President Ayala, for this opportunity. You want to go first?
You want to go first, Mr. Green?
I'm going to go first. But
Okay.
we're going to talk about the same thing.
Okay.
And I was there the day before he was because
Okay.
I missed this meeting. I'm sorry, I missed the meeting because of this, what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
And so it'll make it a little more timely. Last week, Trustee Ormsby and the Chancellor and I attended the joint meeting of what's called the BOTI and the CCATT annual conference. Now, what does BOTI mean? It means the Board of Trustees Institute, and that is a collaboration between the TACC and the Success Center and some other people to bring together an organization, and it's partly it's financed by a foundation, and what it does is put on an annual conference, BOTI, to educate trustees and chancellors on what's going on in the community college world and to try to make things better. It used to be 3 days. It used to be in Santa Fe. It was in other places, but now the CATT and the BOTI are working on bringing this all together. So we had a joint meeting, and the first part of the meeting had to do with, welcome to Austin, had to do with the BOTI, and it is kind of not run by, but the speaker for it is, let me find his name, is wait a minute. You remember his name? Manny.
Dr. Manuel Gonzalez.
Oh, not Manuel Gonzalez. I'm sorry, I'm kind of disorganized here, but it's Dr. Byron McClenny. Yes, to Dr. Byron McClenny, and some of you have been to the BOTI, and he gave during one of the lunches, he gave a talk about some things that trustees ought to think about. I sent a copy of that to Reg, and I'm not sure it's going to make it to the bulletin board or not. But it is what he does is to organize some thoughts that trustees and CEOs ought to be thinking about. This one was called Actions of Effective Boards, and there was a set of questions that he asked, set for strategic direction and for student success, create a culture of change and transformation, monitor what matters. It was a very interesting discussion, a lot of questions, a lot was learned, and I thought that was a very good meeting. There was a conversation at another luncheon with the head of SAC, and her name is I think it's Belle. Who? Yeah, and she's quite a hoot. She's a really interesting lady. Did you watch that? You didn't have that one for us, but she talked about qualifications for SAC, and basically one of what she was doing was the self-evaluation. What she talked about was the self-evaluation of the Board of Trustees and the importance that is to the accreditation process that we go through. And I believe we're going to be going through that in February. Is that our workshop meeting?
We'll have this discussion. The plan is for
Yeah.
the plan is for the board retreat in February that will get more in depth into our upcoming accreditation.
Yeah, we're supposed to I think the rule is with the accreditation process that every once in a while we're supposed to have a self-evaluation. I believe we did it last year extensively. We may not do it this year, but it's a very good idea to bring us all together about what our goals are, how we can achieve those goals. But Leonard, would you like to take over and see what did you do? There he is.
Oh, that's a great picture.
Oh, that's the back of my head. Oh my Lord.
They weren't supposed to send those types of pictures
Oh, what
around.
happened?
Thank you for this opportunity. Well, just to take, I had something else first, but to go up to finish on what he was talking about, what I got in on at the CCATT conference and the BOTI. They talked about student-centered governance, and that's really something that we focus on. Is whatever we do is the students is student-centered. We need to make sure that it's student-centered. Then we had a wonderful presentation by Dr. Pignon on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's amazing how many things that covers, and it's not just race, it's not just ethnicity.
Right.
There are a whole lot of different other areas that are covered in those types of things that really make a difference in how you approach people and how you approach the work that you're doing. So he did a really good job. He's a professor, and he did a really good presentation. We heard some legislative updates from was that Florence Shapiro? I remember her name from a long time ago when she was in Congress, but she gave a legislative update. And then I got to play a small part because Tarrant County College got to make a presentation with Dr. Giovannini. Got to make a presentation, and he was kind enough to share with Mr. Greenhill and myself and allow us to do a little part of that where he spent most of his time. I talked about some of the background of the college and where we came from and how long we'd been here. But he spent most of his time talking about 3GAP. They wanted us to talk about understanding your students to increase enrollment. And he's talked about 3GAP and how that guides everything that we do. And it's the work that you do, not necessarily plans that you put in fact. It's the work behind even those things and the strategies. And it went over really well. People liked the hand sheet that you could hold in your hand, the 3GAP guide that we have that we live by, and they liked that and said they were going to take those things back. So I got to be a part of that, and that was just a great learning experience for me, since this was my first time going to a board conference as a trustee member. So that was a great opportunity. I also got to attend a scholarship banquet. It was for Clifford L. Davis, a legal association. It was a scholarship banquet that they have, and there were some high school students and some students that were in law school that they are gift scholarshiping and giving money to help them along their way. So they have mock courts, they have trials, they have debate sessions, they have those things in the summer for high school students to participate in so that they can get a feel, because sometimes you say you want to be a lawyer because you think that's really a good thing, but then when you find out what lawyers do, you say, I really don't want to do that. But you may be too far down the road now to change your mind because you didn't spend too much money or got too big a student loan, and so you just have to keep on doing it whether you like it or not, because you can't afford to stop. At least your parents are not going to let you stop because you didn't spend all their money. So they get these opportunities to see what it's like to be an attorney, and they get mentored, and if they want further mentoring, So it was it was a good banquet, and Judge Clifford Davis is an awesome man. He's 92, 93 years old now, still walking around. He was at the banquet, and it was just his legal work. It just precedes him, and he said, "Yeah, it was a good banquet. It was just too long." So. Got to do that, and at the conference there was one young lady who she was at the registration table, and after she read my badge, I went over to get me a cup of coffee, and she came up behind me. She said, "I just wanted to tell you that when I was a kid, I went to college for kids on South Campus." Yeah. She said, we didn't even live in Fort Worth. My father had to drive into Fort Worth every day, and he would drop us off, me and my brother, at College for Kids. She said, and that was the most wonderful experience that I've had as a child, and I will never forget going to the South Campus for College for Kids. And, of course, she was an adult woman working the conference today, but she said she remembers that still. So that was a good conversation with her.
Thank you, Mr. Hornsby. Thank you, Mr. Greenhill, for representing us. Thank you, Chancellor, for presenting. I listened in virtually. I think Mr. Barr did as well. It was a very good conference. And I was so glad to hear the story about the young lady that did College for Kids. That's wonderful. That's how I got my exposure to TCC. And so just the students envision themselves here, and I'm sure we'll see her in a few years. Yep. Dr. Morrison?
Good evening. I'm happy to be with you all. I just want to take a minute. Can you hear me? Oh, I have to turn the mic on. Okay. It's been a while. That's a new mic. Everything's new. I want to say it's a joy to be here with each of you. And my comment, it goes directly to the Chancellor, because the Chancellor is the only person that I have an opportunity to vote for them to be here and not be here. But in addition to it going to the Chancellor, it extends to all of the employees. And I want to just say, I'm glad you're here, and I appreciate the work you're doing, and I appreciate all of the work that all of the people on all of the campuses are doing. And I know that I want to remind everybody that you are not just a line item, but you are essential, and the work that you do is important, not just to the people that you think you see every day, but to everybody in Tarrant County. So remember that when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you're not sure if what you're doing matters or is appreciated, just keep forging on. So, Chancellor, I know you'll pass that along to everybody, as I'm doing here over the loudspeaker and the television today. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Morrison. I wanted to highlight a few things that occurred over the past month. I attended an event called Juntos Se Puede, a scholarship luncheon, on August 28th. The organization had their annual scholarship reception in the Michael Sines Conference Center at Tarrant County College, Northwest Campus, and the event culminated in 16 students receiving scholarships to continue their educational journey. This young lady that you saw in the photo there, she was a third grade student. Actually, she was younger than that, I think. And she actually read the organization's mission beautifully. She was a very, 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 very talented young lady. The program began with a welcome from Dr. Zarina Blankenbaker, the president of Tarrant County College Northwest. And Dr. Blankenbaker spoke on the tremendous educational opportunities that Tarrant County College affords the community. She did a very, very good job presenting and highlighting all of the wonderful programs that we have and the support systems that we have for our students. The guest speaker was HWNT Texas State Chair-elect Sandra Garcia. She gave a moving speech about her personal educational journey. She discussed what she did to traverse the challenges that she faced pursuing her education and the resources that were available to her to help overcome. And she had a very long journey, but she did very, very well for herself, and so it was a really good program, and we want to thank that organization for partnering with TCC. The second thing I wanted to mention is, in keeping with our goal of meeting the students where they are, TCC, Trinity Metro, and North Central Texas COG have partnered to provide free transportation to students, TCC students. It's been a few years now that we've been partnering with them. And on September 5th, Trinity Metro rolled out its newly redesigned bus system with more frequencies, extended hours, and just better options for students. And we have some work to do there yet, I think. There's a lot of opportunities there for improvement. But the redesign will offer students and other riders more direct routes so that they can reach the campuses without having to come through downtown Fort Worth on a regular basis. So, this is a really good partnership that helps us to really further eliminate barriers so that students can be successful and access the campuses. So I want to thank everyone that's been involved with this, with the principal work, with the discussions with the North Central Texas COG. I know the Chancellor's been very involved in this, and we just appreciate all your efforts. And finally, I just want to remind everyone, one of our TCC goals is to serve the community and also meet the students where they are. And there's no better day than today to demonstrate our commitment. Today is North Texas Giving Day, and it's a perfect opportunity to support the Tarrant County College Foundation or any of the other charities that are working to make a difference in our community. So each year, the foundation and numerous other nonprofit organizations impact the lives of so many of our students and their families. So I know it's getting late in the day, but there's still time. If you want to have an opportunity to do that, I invite you to take a moment when you get home and make a contribution to your favorite nonprofit. So, okay, thank you. Any other trustee comments before we proceed? Okay. Let's go ahead and go on to 4, consideration and approval of the consent agenda. We have item 4A, that's consideration and approval of the annual renewal of proctoring services for Proctorial in the amount of $600,000, and we have 4B, consideration and approval of collection agency services, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity vendor pool for an initial 2-year term with the option to renew for an additional 2 years. And these have been discussed and presented at our work session. So does anyone have any questions or comments? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved from Ms. Dekine and seconded by Mr. Barr. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, we'll go on to item number 5. Let's see, consideration and approval of the purchase of 2,000 Surface Go tablets from Xerox Business Solutions Southwest to refresh and expand the library loaner device fleet in the amount of $1,568,000. Mr. Pacheco.
Yes, as we discussed last week, these are the 2,000 Surface Go's that we're going to be using to expand the loaner program for our students. That will be distributed through our libraries across all the campuses. And this will be covered by the HERF, the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Pacheco? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Hornsby, second by Ms. Wood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Go on to 5B. Oh, you're still, okay, all right, you got the next one. Consideration and approval of purchases from GDT, Graybar, and Premier Communications to upgrade all campuses to Wi-Fi 6 technology across the district in the amount not to exceed $3,572,390.43.
This is also a project that's being funded by the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. And this is, we're going to be doing a complete revamp of our wireless infrastructure across the district. And it'll be included in all the green spaces, parking lots, all the buildings that we have, and not only in the campuses, but annexes and things like that. And then part of this process will be providing free Wi-Fi services for our public, too, that can get onto the parking lots.
Any questions for Mr. Pacheco? Yes, Mr. Barr.
I was a little surprised that the 15% contingency on this, nearly $500,000. That's an awful lot of flexibility on something.
Well, part of, excuse me.
Is there a particular reason behind that?
Part of this project is an expansion, and so we don't have anything in the green spaces, we don't have anything in the parking lots, and so we built in this 15% to cover whatever we're going to need to be able to make sure we have full coverage. And so that's what the reason that's built into that.
But that wasn't in the original RFP, or?
It was not.
You have any further questions, Mr. Barr?
Well, no.
No, sir?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Pacheco, go ahead, Ms. Alanis.
I just want to add one thing for clarification. We're actually using a DIR contract for these services.
Okay.
So it wasn't a fully developed scope of work that was put out for a proposal. As a result, we've made estimates about the amount of equipment that's out there today, its age, the replacement costs, the implementation costs. Some of the concern also is the cost of labor associated with projects like these right now, because technical labor is in hot demand. And so to ensure that we've got sufficient funding to be able to cover the entire project. The other thing we mentioned is that in order to use HERF funds for this purpose, right now the deadline to spend those dollars is in May. We hope to extend that until September. And so part of that is that we expect that there may be some up cost for purposes of accelerating the delivery dates of the program. So as a result of all that, they've built in some buffer to make sure that we can get the project done.
Well, that makes sense, and I was not aware you were using is it DIR? Is that
Yes,
what we call it?
yes.
The DIR contracts.
That's correct.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Thank you for that. Ms. Alanis, could you, for our new trustees, could you just elaborate on what the DIR, please, so that they'll understand what that means, and then.
Sure.
Please, thank you.
So the district's procurement policies allow us to use certain vehicles for procurement for the purpose of efficiency. And so the state has gone through a competitive procurement process to get firms and commodities on contract that other public entities can then leverage instead of going through an independent RFP. It serves our purpose as well because it helps us reduce time and cost of managing those. It also aids vendors in not having to respond to as many individualized RFP opportunities across. We tend to use judgment in terms of timing. If we think that there's a possibility we might get better pricing out there, going through some other mechanism, but those are tools that we use to manage our procurement program. There are others like it. So DIR is one that is through the Department of something technology. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's that tends to be the one that we use for technology purposes.
Thank you for that. Yes. Any other questions for Mr. Pacheco? Mr. Pacheco, I do have a quick question. I know this was not an RFP, what she said, but I was just curious about what other. I noticed there's some work here for electrical, and I was just curious if there were any other opportunities explored with alternative power sources.
There could be some considerations in there as we go through this. Right now, what we're going to be doing is we'll be replacing many of the existing wireless access points that we have across the district, and those will have whatever power supplies they have associated with them right now because they're already wired in the ceilings and the walls and things like that. Any of the new stuff that we're doing, there's a possibility that we can actually expand into that. We just have to look at that. And we do have, some of our devices are powered over Ethernet as it is. So some of this stuff could be covered by that.
Okay. So at what point does that, it's not documented so in the statement of work, so I mean, how does that happen? What does that look like? That once they do kind of an assessment? Okay.
Right.
All right.
When we do the assessment, matter of fact, the very first thing, starting tomorrow, we will get with GDT, provided it's approved, and start the assessment and start doing the surveys across all the entire district to look at that and see exactly what we're going to do from an expansion point of view.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And what is the timeline on this?
As Ms. Alanis mentioned earlier, our timeline is immediate, and we're going to try to do it before the deadline.
Okay.
The problem we have is that there's a huge backlog on equipment. There's a shortage there, and even with the labor costs, it's overextended. And as Ms. Alanis was talking about, the 15% will also help with trying to get economies of scale by bringing in other vendors to help us if we need to.
So we're targeting to get as soon as we can.
As soon as we can.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Okay. We'll entertain a motion.
I move approval.
Okay, Mr. Barr, second by?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kine, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Pacheco. Let's see. Bear with me, I'm tracking this on this stead because I have some notes. Consideration and approval for 5C of purchase from Sequel Data Systems, Inc. and Dell Technologies to upgrade and expand of the virtual desktop infrastructure environment in the amount not to exceed $1,315,770.96.
Yes, once again, this is another project funded by the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. What we're going to be using with this is to expand our current existing VDI infrastructure based on VMware technologies. It's a combination of licenses. We'll be adding 1,000 concurrent license to what we have already, as well as expansion of our hardware to support those 1,000 new users. And this is what's used across the district for our students, for our faculty, even for some of our staff to be able to get into secure desktop from almost any device.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Questions or comments? Okay, we'll entertain a
Yes.
motion. Oh, yes, go ahead, Mr.
Just have a typo on the second line. Instead of environment in the amount of, it should be environment in the amount of.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing that.
I'd just
You
be
have a comment?
curious, I was curious, what's the anticipated life cycle of this type of an upgrade? Is this good for 3 to 5 years? Or?
At least 3 to 5 years. What we're usually looking at, we've been doing this for at least 4 or 5 years on the current infrastructure that we have. What we're doing is expanding it out to include this. And so we're probably looking at the next 5 to 10 years actually on this equipment.
Good.
Okay. If there are no further questions, we'll entertain a motion, please.
Move to approve.
Mr. Hornsby, and seconded by Ms. Wood. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Okay, we'll go to 5D, consideration and approval of purchase of promotional items from Consolidus, LLC, and Mulholland Custom Imprints for an initial 2-year term with the option to renew for 3 additional years with an aggregate annual spend not to exceed $1 million. Ms. Eloise.
So as a college, you can imagine that we buy a variety of items associated with marketing our programs, welcoming students, recruiting students, going to high schools. The Chancellor's holding up a mouse pad. So, but historically, those have been acquired sort of individually by campuses from a large variety of vendors, and so the quality and quantity and types of things that we were buying were probably not managed in a way that allowed our marketing team to really target our dollars. What we did is we identified the amount of money that we've been historically spending. We did an RFP. We identified 2 firms that will meet the broad needs of the types of things that we would buy, and it allows us to much more efficiently manage that. And then Reg's team as well will have standards in terms of use of our logo and marketing and those kinds of things.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Clarifications? Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Dr. Morrison?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hornsby. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, we'll go on to 5E, consideration and approval of amendment to service agreement for, is that Tubbesing? Am I pronouncing that correctly, or is it Tubbesing?
Unfortunately, I can't help you with that. I don't know. I've just seen it in writing myself, so.
We're going to go with Tubbesing. LLC for district-wide uninterruptible power supply monitoring and maintenance program to increase the annual amount to $115,605 for the remaining renewal options.
So last June, the board authorized us entering into a service agreement with this firm to help us maintain and provide service to this type of equipment across our college that ensures that we've got power all the time. And what we've discovered as we've been working our way through the capital program and the bond program is that there are additional systems that need to be covered under that service agreement, as well as we construct new new facilities as well. And so this increases the amount of spending authority with that firm accordingly.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Ms. Eloise? I do have one quick clarification. So if with the, for example, the smart buildings that we've been talking about, will this still be necessary if we go to these smart buildings? Will the smart buildings be able, because I've read where there's some things, for example, in elevators, there's detectors and things like that. So would this type of service still be needed for if we go to a smart building and some of these, the new construction that we're doing?
So I'm not an expert in that area, but what I would suggest is that us moving into our smart building models is a journey that won't happen overnight.
Right.
And these systems will still be necessary. We may have new ways of monitoring their performance that may affect the way we have service agreements and maintenance over time.
Okay.
But I don't see this going away as a
Completely.
result of that or anytime soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Tubbesing. Okay. Thank you. Tubbesing. We'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved, Dr. Morrison. A second by, okay, Mr. Heath. All in favor? Mr. I'm sorry. I'm glad you're paying attention. I was trying to see if you were paying attention over there. I'm sorry.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. I woke up with no Wi-Fi for 4 hours today. I'm sorry. I'm just a little frazzled. Okay. Mr. Greenhill.
I second the motion. It's Dr. Greenhill. I'm a
Dr.
lawyer.
Greenhill, I'm sorry. Pastor Greenhill, is that what aren't you a deacon? Yes.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Deacon of the man. We want
Okay, we'll go ahead. We have a motion and a second. So, all in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Let's go to 5F. Consideration and approval of contract with Infinity Contractors International LTD for purchase and installation of bipolar ionization equipment district-wide in the amount of $1,025,482.
Yeah, so you're aware that since the beginning of our COVID journey that we have been assessing our HVAC equipment across the district. It's obviously of varying ages and qualities in terms of when it was installed and what technology would allow at that time. We have been working to improve the air filtration of them for health purposes. This is an allowable expense under the HER funds as well, and so we will. This is continuing that effort to ensure the safety of our students.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this paid through the CARES or is this paid through the college? I'm just curious.
CARES Act.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll entertain a motion. Dr. Morrison?
Second.
By Mr. Hornsby. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Excuse me. Popped up on my screen. Sorry, excuse me, Ms. Alney, something popped up on my screen. Consideration and approval 5G of a contract with Terracon Consultants, Inc. for the Northwest Campus Redevelopment Project, special inspections and materials testing services in the amount of $300,327.
So this is a necessary function during construction to ensure that we're testing cement and things like that to ensure the quality of the building that's getting built and that what we expect out of our contractors is actually being delivered. It allows us to ensure that we're compliant with code. This is because of the scale of the bond program, we did this as a singular contract that'll carry us through the Northwest campus. You'll see a similar effort with the Southeast campus upcoming. But again, it's an effort to sort of consolidate those efforts under a single vendor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Ms. DeKine.
Second?
Second by Mr. Greenhill. All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 5H, consideration and approval of rental rates for district pool facilities for academic year 2021 to 2022 of $75 per hour for a 3-hour minimum for public and nonprofit licenses, and $500 per 4-hour event for all other users.
So we had a little bit of a reprieve from this while the college was not operating live, but this summer we started getting activity from the various partners who use our pools to deliver their team activities as well as lessons and those kinds of things. We've been in an effort to make uniform agreements with all of those organizations and ensure that the fees are reflective of the one college strategy that we have. And I think we've pretty successfully done that. All the large organizations we've entered into those agreements with. This sets the rates by the board. It also is a look forward over the next couple of years to get us aligned with market. Again, as we normalize those contracts, they needed an opportunity to ramp up to sort of the market environment of what the fee would be.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just want to know, did we share these with the entities that have used us before?
We did. In fact, the contracts that we've been negotiating with them to start their fall semesters were reflective of this $75 rate, and they are aware that we've got a schedule to increase those going forward.
So it's 75 now, and it's going to go up to?
That is correct. It's 75 now for 3-hour sessions. Next year, the intent is to take it to 100, and the year after that, 125.
But that's not, okay.
Yeah, you're taking action on the current year. What we will do is we'll incorporate those future rates into new fee schedules that we'll be bringing forward as we normalize this across the district. But we wanted to convey to the public and to the users that we've got that glide path planned for future rates.
So that $75 per hour would really be 175 times 3?
Yes,
session?
yes, that's correct. And that's actually fairly consistent or with what they were already paying for the most part. There were some variables in that in terms of how we were dealing with lifeguards and things like that previously that we've resolved and normalized. But this rate is very similar to what they've been paying in the past for the most part.
So some of the board members will recall the long-lasting item that this has been, and began probably before COVID, begin to negotiate this of a peace treaty, if you will, in some way, with a lot of the users, and a lot of work has gone into it. We provide good service. They enjoy being there. Unfortunately, we were all over the board as it related to our arrangements and agreements with all the pools, the different campuses, and the different groups. So it took quite a bit of work to corral this, to approach it as a one college and have the board really endorse, as they should, the fees for that. And so these fees are just for this year. We want to also share the intent of future years of the escalation that we would seek approval for. So a lot of work, a lot of good work has gone into this that has been vetted with our partners, and so we bring it before you tonight.
Thank you, Chancellor. And what I want to say is that I think that the aquatic facilities that TCC has offered are very vitally important to the community. And in the interest of youth development and water safety, I would hope that we would be supportive of expanding that access to the community and that our fees wouldn't be punitive.
Yes.
And so I appreciate the effort that has gone forward, the conversation, and all of that, and I hope that we'll keep that in mind as we go forward.
Sure.
So again, these are for the contractual agreements we
Right.
have with the clubs and such.
Right.
This is not necessarily the courses and programs we may offer for the community.
No, I
Swimming
understand.
classes and like. Okay.
But-
Just want to be sure.
Yeah, I understand that these are for the contracts for entities, but they have to have a place to have their programs. And without our facilities, many of them wouldn't have access.
So one thing I'll add is that a number of our partners are public school districts that benefit from not having to do their own capital improvements to construct and run their own natatorium. And so for the most part, they're pleased with these rates and arrangements. There are some for-profit organizations that are also engaged in that. And to the Chancellor's point, we've had a lot of conversations with the different campuses at this point about how to reinvest and expand offerings that TCC has to serve the purpose of drowning prevention and those kinds of things that you mentioned.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Wood, go ahead.
With the pool and the payment that they're making, does that cover like the lifeguards and maybe the upkeep of the pool? I'm just curious on if we're losing money on this or if we're breaking even or where we're going to be.
So we did spend some time looking at the operating costs, and it pays a reasonable share of that. I think we were more concerned about what the market would bear when we looked at other pools that are out there in the community when we set these rates. The college can allow certain organizations to provide their own lifeguards, or we can charge a fee to offset our cost if we're providing the lifeguards, and that is a full cost recovery for the lifeguards. So it's not a wildly clear answer because it obviously doesn't include the capital investment either, but we think we ended up in a reasonable spot for the market.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Dr. Morrison,
Second.
second by, is that Mr. Greenhill? Okay, I've heard two voices. Okay.
Oh,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's see, consideration 5I, consideration and approval of resolution and participation agreement to authorize Tarrant County College District participation in Keller Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone 2 and Zone Number 2 and appointment of representatives.
Yeah, so you received a presentation last week from a representative of the City of Keller about the zone that they have created, and as we discussed, the purpose of these is to leverage public dollars from multiple taxing jurisdictions that can be generated from higher quality concentrated development and a planning effort that we all benefit from. The college participates in 25-ish of these already, and our typical pattern is to be at 50%. And so we obviously benefit as a college as those dollars are invested.
Thank you. Did you have a question, Ms. DeFine?
Ms. Elanese, I really appreciated the presentations last week, 2 weeks ago. Oh my gosh, last week. From both the representatives from Keller and Bedford. And I know I said at the time, but I'd like to reiterate that I think that it tells a really powerful story when we include the potential revenue for the multiple entities that might benefit as an outcome. So I know that in most cases it's just going to be the county and Tarrant County College and the city that are investing. But I did appreciate during the Bedford presentation that there was the projected impact to the school district.
Yes.
And just depending on, I know that we'll be evaluating additional, TERS and TIFs and all of the acronyms in the future. But, subject to the location and the size, there's the potential of multiple groups being impacted, I think, in a positive way. Right. And it just, to me, helps tell a more complete story about why we as a college district help invest in these projects. Yeah. And certainly different TERS will be impacted differently, but to be able to articulate to a community that this will also pay dividends for your school district can only tell the story more completely.
Sure. So I think that was a great point last week, and I think we emailed out that information for Keller. We've got 2 more coming in October, and we've asked them to each include that in their presentations already. If you would like, we could also include a similar table in the board memos as well to memorialize that you guys have seen that information, if that would be helpful to you.
That's a great idea. Yes.
We are essentially, just for the record, following the county's lead on
Every time, yes.
on this, as
Yes,
far
sir.
as the level of participation and so forth.
Did you hear a second question as
Yes,
far as level of
there
participation?
are occasions when the county actually participates at a higher rate. Some of them are at 75%. But I would make the argument that that's because they invest in roads and public infrastructure as part of their mission all the time, and so there are instances when they actually would make higher. But we always wait for their engagement. We look at the duration, those kinds of things, before we bring it to you for action.
Yeah, and that's only been a few, 2, maybe 3, where the county went to 75 and we stayed at 50. That's not a frequent occurrence.
Thank you for those. Any other further questions? Thank you for your comments. I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Okay, Mr.
Second.
Barr, and second by, was that Ms. DeKine or Ms. Wood? Okay, Ms. DeKine. Okay, all in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 5J, consideration and approval of resolution and participation agreement to authorize Tarrant County College District participation in Bedford Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 1 and appointment of representatives.
Yes, so same explanation. You saw the presentation last week, and this memorializes our engagement with this TERS.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, Mr. Greenhill,
Second.
second by Mr. Hornsby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 5K, consideration and approval of contract with Hahnfeld, Hoffer, Stanford for design services on district-wide pay-go funded integrated instructional learning environments, classroom upgrades in the amount of $541,513.81.
Yes, so you received a presentation last week from Dr. Blankenbaker to remind us of the work that the Integrated Instructional Learning Environment panel had done to develop classroom standards that could support a different learning style that is more conducive to our students. And what we've been doing, and this is, I don't know, probably at least the second year of it, we've identified about 50 classrooms a year that are not the ones that will be included in other bond activity that we will renovate with our pay-as-you-go funding. And this is the list of classrooms for this year. Next month, you will receive a similar item for several classrooms that actually, because of their location and adjacency to other projects, will actually be rolled into the bond program. But it's a similar concept that it's part of the classrooms we've identified for improvements.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Ms. Helenies? Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Mr. Hornsby,
Second?
second by Mr. Greenhill. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Consideration and approval of access easement and right-of-way on Tarrant County College-owned property northeast of the intersection of the Trinity River and North Main to Encore Electric Delivery Company, LLC.
Good evening, trustees. Chancellor Giovannini. As you know, the college owns property in what we all call the Panther Island area. The property that we own is currently encumbered with several easements owned by Encore, our electric facilities company in this area. They have come to the college and requested the addition of a very small 996 square foot additional triangular shaped easement to allow them to better access those other existing easements for equipment and so forth. The easement is limited just to allowing them to access the other easements, and if for some reason those other easements are ever abandoned or terminated, this easement will automatically terminate as well. The property in question where this little easement is located is very close to the levees and is already subject to the control of the Army Corps of Engineers. So it's the ability to utilize it in any meaningful fashion is pretty darn limited. Encore has been an excellent partner for the university, for the college over the years, and the decision was made to accommodate them and accommodate the electrical transmission lines and the substation that's located right there on that property. And I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Questions or comments for Ms. Bracken? No? Okay, we'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Ms. DeKine, and a second
A second.
by Mr. Hornsby. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. 5M, consideration and approval of recommended revisions to board policies related to employment practices, utility contracts, board authority, and ethics, child abuse reporting, curriculum design, and course load.
We come to you this evening with requested changes to 15 local policies in our policy manuals. They've all been listed for you in your materials. You have attached to the memo, you have a copy of each policy together with a red line that shows the changes that are being made. The first 7 of these policies were generated internally by staff in collaboration between academic affairs and the HR department, also with facilities and procurement. The last 8 policies come to us from TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards, which is the organization that writes our policy manual. This is part of the normal annual update cycle with them. These policy mandates, policy changes are entirely generated as a result of things that occurred in the legislative session that just ended. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions?
Just a comment, Ms. Bracken. Thank you so much for putting together the summary of all of the changes. I literally read them all. And you made it much easier.
I'm good.
So I appreciate you. Thank you.
If you would like for us to, we'll be glad to do that going forward.
And I would like to suggest that there are particularly 2 of them that are to the board policies that are very good. It's the board member authority, local BBE, and board ethics. Very interesting.
The board ethics policy was modified by TASB to make it more closely resemble the model policy that's put out for board ethics by CCAT.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Want to thank you as well for that. That was very, very helpful having
You are
that
most
information. Yes. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Morrison.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. DeKine. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're going to item 6 for the monthly financial report.
So this report is reflective of the last month of the fiscal year, but prior to audit. So as you can imagine, we're still going through an exercise of accruing expenses and revenue back to the last fiscal year, and you'll have that full report, I believe, at your December board meeting with the financial statements. As you can see, we actually ended up exceeding our budget. We performed well in terms of property tax, which more than offset lost tuition this year. The thing that's notable is you can see that there's potentially a significant contribution to fund balance of the $58 million in savings, and that's reflective of a number of things. It's reflective of the decline in enrollment that occurred that resulted in savings for adjunct faculty and things like that. When the campus was closed, we had utility savings, we had travel savings, meeting savings. We had little to no use for our contingency funds that are set aside as well. And so anyway, it's an opportunity for a significant contribution to fund balance, and I believe you guys will be talking about that at your upcoming retreat. So be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Alanis? Clarifications? Okay.
Okay, and then we also have the investment recap. One of the things that you've recently approved is our investment management agreement, and Ronnie Watkins, who you will meet in just a moment, is our new Executive Director of Finance and Administrative Services, and he is leading the effort to be engaged with PFM to be transitioning those resources in the coming weeks to their management and to hopefully start improving some of the returns that we've seen on those investments. But this gives you a sense it's really more of the same of what you've seen before, but we're actively working on that transition. Okay, also in your packet, you've got information on the mineral investments as well, and that's included in your written report that you've got available to you in terms of what the foundation manages on our behalf. Be happy to answer any questions. Okay.
I do have a question, unless anyone else does. And you may have addressed this, but how does that How does that work with the fact that the foundation, are they involved in this process as well as far as the mineral rights? Do they have any, that agreement since they're going to be managing that, or?
So it was probably a year ago now that the board approved a new management agreement with the
Right.
foundation.
Right.
And basically, every time we receive returns from our minerals, we transfer those to the foundation, and they are responsible for managing the investment of those, contingent upon the investment policy for minerals that this board adopted.
Okay. The other question.
But they send us this report every month, and we share it with you as part of the financial
That's what I'm
report.
going to say. We're getting that on a regular basis,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
the outcome is. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Chancellor's report. Dr. Giovannini.
Thank you, Sal. We have a couple of staff introductions this evening. So, Carlos, if you're here, would you go first, please?
Good evening, President Ayala, Chancellor, and board members. I want to introduce Dr. Shelley Pearson as our new Vice President for Academic Affairs at TCC Connect Campus. Dr. Pearson is joining an outstanding community of educators here at Tarrant County College and our TCC Connect Campus. Dr. Shelley Pearson has served as Associate Vice President for Health Professions at Temple College in Temple, Texas since 2016. Her responsibilities included serving on the executive cabinet team, oversight of the credit-based health programs and operations at the Texas Bioscience Institute Middle College campus. Prior to coming to Temple College, Dr. Pearson was the program director and faculty for the Radiologic Technology program at Blinn College in Bryan, Texas from 2005 to 2016. Additionally, she served in leadership positions in various healthcare institutions before entering higher education. Dr. Pearson received her EDD in Educational Leadership from Sam Houston State University. She holds a master's degree from Midwestern State University, a bachelor's degree from University of Louisiana Monroe, and an associate's degree from Galveston College. Dr. Pearson's higher education leadership experience includes overseeing programs of community needs. She is keenly aware of community college student characteristics and the impact on retention/attrition. Also, she understands that students enroll in a community college with the intent of learning specific skill to gain a promotion at their current job, personal enrichment, or for a 2-year degree, a certificate, or to transfer to a 4-year institution. Dr. Pearson is experienced with issues that both foster and impede student persistence. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Pearson to TCC.
Thank you, Dr. Morales. Good evening, Chancellor. Good evening, Board of Trustees. Briefly, I just want to say that I'm so excited to be at Tarrant County College to serve the students, to serve the community. You have a reputation for excellence and innovation, and the Connect campus has an outstanding reputation for leadership in online learning and distance education. So I'm very excited to be asked to join and lead in these efforts. And I am new to Fort Worth, so I'm also excited to kind of, explore the community and learn about all of the different opportunities that we have and partnerships. So again, briefly, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Welcome, Shelley. Susan?
Thank you so much, Ms. Pearson.
So I alluded to it a minute ago, I think, because I'm very excited to have him here. But Ronnie Watkins has joined us as the new Executive Director of Finance and Administrative Services. And just to tell you a little bit about him, he has a master's in business administration, but he also has a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Texas Tech. He's most proud of it. Did I get a guns up? There you go. But he's most proud of his associate's degree from South Plains College, where he has actually spent the last 11 years doing a variety of things, including he led the Title V program development, financial aid, and administrative services such as IT, purchasing and contracts, finance budgets, and facilities and construction. And so what's exciting about this is we've moved procurement back under that department, as well as risk and insurance. And with the breadth of his experience from a business perspective, he'll be able to apply the management tools that we can offer out of finance to that across the college. So prior to that, he actually had 13 years of experience in design, engineering, and project management in high-tech communications industry with Rockwell Collins and Cisco Systems. And I actually left out the most important and exciting part. He was the project manager for their ERP implementation at South Plains College, and so he is well equipped to share his scars with us as we go through that process in the near future here. So we're happy to have him. But Ronnie, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Chancellor and Board of Directors. I'm thrilled to be here. As was mentioned, I'm a proud graduate of community college, and as a father of 5 children, I cannot explain how much I love the value of what a community college brings to a student. And value, that's a real serious word. I love that word because it's price and it's quality, and it has to be both of them. My wife went to community college. I went to South Plains College, graduated. All 5 kids started at South Plains College, and now they're all going to universities right now. I have two sons at South Plains College. So it's the core of who we are, and I just love the value proposition that community colleges bring. When I was a student at South Plains College, the price part really hit home. I realized I can get through college. I can work hard in the summers, and I can pay for college. I was thrilled about that. In the back of my mind, I was always worried, am I smart enough to go to engineering school? Because that's what I wanted to do, is be an engineer. And as I moved on to Texas Tech engineering school, and I was studying with other student engineers, I quickly realized, you know what, I know my math better than these guys who went to Tech all 4 years. And it wasn't that I was smarter, that I went to community college with a small group of students in smaller classes, and I definitely felt like I fit right in and went on for a very successful engineering career. In the meantime, I also got my MBA with a focus in finance. And during my years in industry, 17 years in all, I did want to design, but also wanted to be able to sell and manage and help the company thrive through what we designed. So I always wanted to diversify myself to the finance piece as well. And I brought those skills. I've now been in higher ed for 11 years. And I brought those skills through project management and engineering, through facilities and construction, but also brought the finance piece and the project management piece. So again, the word value is what I look at in a community college, and I live it. I've drank the Kool-Aid. I'm the biggest supporter of it, and I love telling my story to students, because we all have the same story. We're all fighting through the same issues and want to be successful, and this is the way to be successful. It's the greatest way. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I really look forward to working with every one of you. Thank you.
Welcome, Ronnie. Thank you. A couple of significant accolades I'd like to highlight this evening, one of which is the college, together with Campfire First Texas Early Education Apprenticeship Program, was recently awarded $120,000 by the Texas Workforce Commission Apprenticeship Texas Expansion Grant to train early childhood educators. And funding will continue to support the partnership we had with Campfire First, which provides early education teachers working with age 0 through 5 a pathway for their educational career advancement and to earn increased wages and college credit for professional certification. And certainly we can't get away from knowing that child care continues to be an increasing issue, not just for our students, but for nationwide. And so we're happy to be able to be engaged in that. The second one is Forbes has notified the college that it has been recognized by Forbes as one of America's best in-state employers in 2021. This recognition was created through a survey of 80,000 U.S. employees across 25 industry sectors, and they collected direct recommendations from employees as well as indirect recommendations from workers in the overall industry. And the survey considered every aspect of an employee's experience, such as working conditions, salary, potential for growth, diversity. Of the thousands of companies eligible for this recognition, only a few were awarded in each state, and so we're really happy to be able to announce that. And I want to mention again, these are not, beauty, these are not contests based upon, putting in an application and sending money and getting a plaque and all that. These are independent types of recognitions that we share with you. The last one is the United States Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has ranked Tarrant County College one of the best in green power usage. Specifically, the EPA's Green Power Partnership Program has named the top 30 colleges and universities in the United States, representing the largest greenhouse power users among higher education institutions within that partnership. It ranked TCC second in Texas and 25th overall nationally. So thank you, and thank everyone for their hard work. These things don't happen without our folks doing good work every single day. So accolades to everyone. So thank you. You will note in your packet recent activities that you can take a look at, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have related to that now or later. The last thing I have is an update on exercising my COVID authority. We had nothing to date through August that needed to do that, but I do want to continue, and I mentioned this, I think, last month, to keep everyone aware that we have HERF funding specifically for students, and that we have to spend in the support of students through next spring, and there's significant resources there available, so we want to, again, continue to get that word out and the recognition of the resources available for students at this time. So thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Let's see, we're going to have a briefing. Is that still going on, the briefing? Yeah. Yes.
Briefing on college marketing.
Yes.
And Susan?
Thanks, So first, Ron, thank you. No better segue for what we're about to talk about, value. And over the last couple of months, we've had an opportunity, first of all, thanks to the trustees for the significant raise in the budget for our marketing efforts, and thank Mr. Greenhill, Ms. Wood for the questions that you offered up when we last talked about this, and the Chancellor thought it wise for us to come back and give you a bit more of a drill down into our marketing efforts, our rationale, our strategies, so that you could gain a little more insight into why we do what we do. But it's parked under what you talked about, Ron, value, $64 per tuition hour and no fees. So that we think is quite significant. So tonight, Suzanne Groves, our Executive Director for Communications and PR Marketing, has come to kind of walk us through that and give you some of the higher points of the marketing efforts and how it's integrated into everything else that we do. So, Suzanne.
Suzanne's making her way up. Go ahead, Suzanne. Joe referenced the $64 a credit hour. When we were in Austin this past weekend and gave a little talk and background about the college, and we said $64 a credit hour with no fees, everybody's eyes kind of lit up, because in fact we are not only one of the lowest in the state, we're one of the lowest in the country in doing so, and for 4 years now we have not raised tuition. So thank you. Suzanne?
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us, Chancellor, Madam Chairman, and trustees. I am Suzanne Groves, Executive Director of Communications, PR, and Marketing. I've been with the college for 8.5 years, came from industry, and started my career with the Richards Group, a big ad agency in Dallas. So in aggregate, I've got 33 years experience in this wonderful field, and I am blessed to lead a division that consists of public relations, marketing, advertising, media outreach, social media, graphic design, and web communications, periodically executive communications, and whatever else anybody throws over the doorway to us. So I think I can speak for all of us in that we have the best job in the district, and that is we get to promote this wonderful institution and the value we bring to our students, and certainly the value we bring to the community. So I kind of want to walk you through the whole shebang. I'm going to try and do it kind of quickly, but I'd like to start with our marketing philosophy, what informs the decisions we make and how we make them. We've got 4 key components to our marketing philosophy. The first is to maximize the marketing budget that you all give us by implementing a layered and laser-focused media buying strategy that reaches our target audiences through their most used media outlets. Second, we choose those channels and platforms where the brand is likely to be relevant and most memorable. Third, we avoid those channels and those platforms that are oversaturated by others in the higher education space and where we're just going to get lost in the clutter. And then finally, we use the most effective channels and platforms to drive maximum impressions. What that is a single contact with a brand. That's what an impression is. We want to maximize those impressions while maintaining audience interest. That's really critical. Our integrated marketing strategy incorporates all media categories. So first, owned. We've got our website. We've got Reach Magazine, which I hope you all have seen, both the digital and the print version. TCC Talk, which is a monthly e-zine that goes out to our constituents. It's a wrap-up of our news over the course of the month. Our social media channels. So we're active on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, YouTube primarily. And then collateral materials. So pieces like... most recently you all have seen the Education is a Family Affair push card that is being very well received. So collateral production is also in our owned category. Earned is the press coverage that we get via media outreach. So anytime there's something of note, we're pushing out press releases, we're working our media contacts. We've got a very, very lean staff right now. We're lean, but we're mighty. We pick up quite a lot of positive news coverage. And then finally, paid, which is what I'm going to spend the majority of my time talking about tonight, because that's where the money is. That's advertising and, where appropriate, sponsorships. So we do all of this to reach our target audience, and our strategy, our laser-focused strategy, is designed to zero in on these audiences. It's high school students. It's adults ages 18 to 34. Our median age for our students is 24, just as an FYI. Adults 34 to 50. That's a secondary category. Currently, we've only got about 12.4% of our students that are over the age of 34, but it's still an important growth category for us. Multicultural audiences, so Hispanic, Asian, African American, representing the greatest demographic concentration of our student and community population. And then, of course, the taxpayers. People want to know what we're doing, so they're very important. Next, our messaging always incorporates our brand proposition. So affordability, which has been addressed, but always coupled with quality. You can't lead with a low price message without begging the quality questions. So we couple the two. Convenience, very important. The variety that we offer, over 120 programs. And then this is a recent addition. The fact that we're a supportive organization, that we want our prospective students to feel like they belong here, and that we offer significant wraparound services to ensure their success, completion, and graduation. So how do we do it? We have 5 key marketing strategies that inform the plan for the year. First is to be seen and heard, where our targeted data show our target audiences watch and listen. We have a constant flight schedule. That's what we call the media buys for the entire year, with amplified presence during our enrollment periods, both in April and in October. Second, we maximize the use of paid search. Our target audience, they're digital natives. They're out there. They spend more than 9 hours a day on screens. So we're out there doing paid search, targeted display, and then search and site retargeting, which you're probably all familiar with if you've looked at shoes on, Nordstrom, and then they follow you to the next place you go. That's called search and site retargeting, and it's been very effective for us. The point of all of this is to ensure that TCC is not just top of mind, but top of screen at all times. Third, we complement the aforementioned with paid social media ads, so primarily Snapchat. That's where Gen Z lives right now, as well as Facebook and Instagram to reach kind of the secondary target. We incorporate strategic sponsorships like Parade of Lights, Friday Night Lights, Main Street Arts Festival, which is coming back next year, April 7th through 10th. The good Lord willing and the river don't rise, and things like the Dallas Wings, which we've partnered with them as well, to ensure that we're bringing TCC to the community. We're going out where our target lives so that they have exposure and conversion opportunities, which means just, the opportunity to get to know us. And then, I'm sorry, I meant activation. The activation of being inspired to learn more about us. And we do this when we have these sponsorships. We usually send out folks from CACO and other areas of the organization that are prepared to answer questions, help walk students through the registration process, et cetera. It's been very effective for us. And then fifth and finally, we work hard to tell the stories of that reinforce our brand proposition through proactive media outreach, TCC News, social media posts, Reach Magazine. Our most effective mechanism, though, honestly, is the student testimonials, which we were a little bit constrained, clearly, during the pandemic because we couldn't get to them. But the students who tell the story of what we've done to educate them, get them workforce ready, and get them out in the community, it moves mountains. So I want to just go over this kind of quickly, and I apologize because these graphs are kind of small, but I want to show you that as much as it's important for us to know our demography, we also need to know the shifting behavior and preference of our target audience. So we pay very close attention to what are the most popular channels for Gen Z as well as the millennials, and they're a little bit different. So this particular graph, which I'll go in, it's larger on the next slide, it shows that when asked among millennials who they trust, where they get their information, it is overwhelmingly in radio and in television, streaming, podcasts, social media. This is slightly different with Gen Z, where they're 90% on social media. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but that is where they are. The other thing that's interesting here, and I just wanted to pause because I know there have been a lot of questions about what we're doing versus what Dallas College is doing. So I was able to kind of get my hands on their media spend and where they're putting their money, because you hear them on local news channels a lot, which is very, very expensive. They're putting the majority of their money in local television news, primarily on Channel 8, the Dallas Morning News, radio stations like K-Love, which is classic hits, KEGL, which is classic hits. What they're doing is they're going after the parents. And that's an interesting strategy. Our strategy is to go for the students because we believe they've got agency to make their own decisions about probably the most important and first adult decision someone makes is where they're going to go to school. We're talking to the students. So this is just really to show that it's interesting that radio and TV is where those millennials are, not so much on Gen Z, which again, 97% of them use social media 9 hours a day in front of the screen. And what's interesting about Gen Z is they're multitasking on devices where they might be watching TV on one thing and playing on their phone on another platform. So they're a little challenging to get to, but we know where they are. So next, this just shows, again, kind of what I just said, that the media strategy is very, very focused. We know that the majority of millennials are streaming, and this is another really interesting data point to me. This year alone, 27 to 30% of cable users nationwide are cutting the cord, and they're moving to streaming. And I'll get to that in a minute, but just we know where they are, and that's where our strategy takes us. Next slide. We can move forward. Okay, so I kind of outlined the playbook. Here are the tactics that we really use. I'm not going to break down the spend in each category because it is pretty competitive data, pretty sensitive. We don't like to put it out there too much. But we do focus our paid media for the purpose, I beg your pardon, paid media. We start with Google paid search. And then I spoke to targeted display and site retargeting. Again, we follow you, but appropriately so, and we stop after about 3 times. Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat, Pandora and Spotify, big important spend for us. iHeartRadio, which is the station. If you're not listening to NPR, you're listening to iHeartRadio probably. Multicultural radio, this is where we pick up the Asian community as well as the African American communities. NBC Telemundo, we did a buy during the Summer Olympics, so we spanned both Telemundo and Channel 5. Many of you I know Dr. Morrison sent me a note a few times that she had seen our spots, but that was a very strategic and important buy because they had super high viewership this year because people were hungry for feel-good entertainment. And then finally, print, things like the Dallas Cowboys yearbook, which I've got here if anybody would like to look at. That goes to a pretty high-end market. This year, we gave our space to corporate solutions and economic development because we knew that this was the right placement for them. And we all work collaboratively, so help out corporate solutions, work closely with the foundation. I'll come back to that in a moment. We also participate in chamber publications, Fort Worth, Texas Magazine, and then, there are local, like Arlington Talk and other local publications that are important, not particularly strategic, but they do allow us to reach the taxpayers. Further, spectrum-zoned cable. We've been here for a couple of years. The buy is BET, MTV, ESPN, Comedy Channel, HGTV, TNT, and a sports mix. Based on what I said earlier, we're going to probably shift up the spend in that category just because of cable cutting. Streaming and connected TV is really interesting because about 5 years ago, I didn't really know what it was called, but I just knew that if you were watching television, you were streaming something, and ads would pop up and you couldn't get past them, that was a growing thing. I just didn't know what it was called. So at the time, I spoke to my agency and I said, that thing when you're streaming and you have to see an ad and you enjoy it, but you have to see it, and we need to get there. Well, that's where we are. We've been doing it for 5 years, and it delivers some pretty impressive results for us. Hulu, which you're all familiar with, YouTube, growing in popularity with the Gen Z. We're also in out-of-home on Trinity Metro buses and benches, which is good, primarily because it's seen, but also we have that relationship with Trinity Metro. This was really the only real event we sponsored this year. It didn't sponsor, but we had signage and kiosks at NRH2O Summer Water Park. I was a little concerned about that because we still didn't know what was happening with COVID, but they were opening, families were going, we were there. Similar with the Parks Mall at Arlington, it's really the main mall for the zip codes that feed our schools, so we've had a kiosk there all year. And then finally, a targeted drip campaign. It was an email blast sent to 97,000 qualified email addresses, those who had expressed interest in college at some point. And they got the first message, and then the subsequent emails to follow were based on their behavior. Did they click? Did they open it? Did they read it all the way through? Did they go to our website? And that was a new thing for us to try this year. So we're getting close because I do want to show you some of our spots. Our creative direction, I want to talk a little bit about. We had launched a new campaign pre-COVID. Since COVID, we were in a position where we really needed to create some new spots that both accommodated and communicated the realities of where our students and what we were dealing with, and to offer some reassurance. The first spot, actually, we revised during COVID. It's called Mom in Closet, and it was designed to highlight our online education. We did revise that slightly. The next three were very much in the moment and relevant to what was happening. First was called Being Essential. Second is cybersecurity. We did 2 of those. Third was a focus on online college. Next, earlier this year, we developed new creative to encourage students to keep imagining their future with us as their pathway. So first, A Tale of Two Students, which really does tell the story of, do you want to be the smart person who goes to community college and doesn't have debt, or the other one? Always, which I personally love because it's opening the door to a new campaign I think that we're going to introduce next year, which is how to turn your passion into a paycheck. And then finally, $64 gift. All of these, with the exception of Mom in Closet, were produced remotely. So I was at my computer, and the production team was at their computer, and basically the only people in the room were the cameramen and the talent, which I've not done it before. It's a little challenging, but we did get it done. So on the creative direction, we did pull through the theme line that we first introduced in 2019, which is this is college and it looks a lot like life. The point of that is to really to publicly recognize the intersection of there's life and then there's college, and I don't think I can do both. Well, we know you can, and that's what the ad campaign was all about. This year, we added an additional line to the newest spots, which is education that's essential. So it's kind of a double entendre. Education that's essential, but education that is essential. So without any further ado, I'm going to let the camera roll and step away so that you can see our new creative, and then we will conclude with our results.
College, not the full lecture halls you probably remember, but with Tarrant County College online classes, you can still earn your degree from the comfort of your own couch, desk, or hall closet, if that's what it takes. In fact, we're ranked the nation's #1 online community college by Intelligent.com. And since Tarrant County College is just $64 per credit hour, it's easy to afford, no matter what you're juggling. So this is college, and it looks a lot like life. Get started at tccd.edu/real life.
College. Online classes at Tarrant County College. I had a job in something that was considered non-essential, so I'm using this time to get a degree in something that is essential for just $64 a credit hour. So this is college, and it looks a lot like life. Tarrant County College.
This is college. And since most classes are now available online, your career plans don't have to be put on hold. Tarrant County College offers degrees and trade certifications for high-demand, high-paying jobs in fields like cybersecurity or logistics. And we're rated the nation's #1 online community college, according to Intelligent.com, which is a real eye-opener. So this is college, and it looks a lot like life. Tarrant County College, success within reach. Get started at tccd.edu/real life.
With all that's going on, I've had to change up my plans a bit. Instead of heading to some big university, I'm knocking out my basics with Tarrant County College Online for just $64 a credit hour. So this is college, and it looks a lot like life. Tarrant County College.
He's taking online classes at a major university, while this one attends online at Tarrant County College. He's paying around $3,000 a credit hour. She's paying just $64 a credit hour, and they even share some of the same instructors. When this student graduates, he will have a great education and significant student debt. This student will also get a great education and will be ready to start earning immediately. Oh, and she'll be debt-free. This is college, and it looks a lot like life. Tarrant County College, success within reach. Get started at tccd.edu/real life.
About dreams.
Honey, I wish you'd stop wasting your time with those games.
Killing zombies isn't going to put food on the table.
What are you doing with your life?
It's not everyone can see them.
At Tarrant County College, programs like game simulation and animation design help turn your passion into a paycheck. And you can be workforce ready in 2 years or fewer for just $64 a credit hour. Education that's essential. Tarrant County College. We put success within reach. Get started at tccd.edu/real life.
Remember when we were in kindergarten? Oh my gosh, yes, we had a
With 120 certifications and degrees you can complete in 2 years or less.
$64? Also $64.
Tarrant County College makes higher education affordable, with classes starting at $64 a credit hour.
You're going to college?
This is college, and it looks a lot like life. Tarrant County College, success within reach. Get started at tccd.edu/real life.
That last one always kind of chokes me up a little bit. But we wanted to recognize that for so many, particularly for our first-gen students, coming to college is a family affair. It is a family decision, and I think that just tells the story beautifully. Next, I just want to show you, and I apologize because they're blurry. These are screenshots. I first want to show you what Google Ads look like. So it's a little bit more defined in your print copy, but you can see everything from your future is affordable, TCC is only $24 per credit, 1 year to workforce ready. It's key messages designed to get them to come and to click and come to our website. We've driven them to tccd.edu/life. We do set up vanity URLs for different of our campaigns so that we can see what doors people are coming in. It's not an exact science, but it gives us a pretty good view of the traffic that we're creating. Next, I want to show you Facebook. These are Facebook ads, and again, you'll note that they correspond, the same talent as what you're seeing on our TV spots. And the messaging, again, is designed to drive them to our Facebook, our website. In this particular case, they came to CYTCC is Right For Me page. Next is banner and display. So we've used these throughout, Pandora, Spotify, other of our digital platforms. So how does all this add up? I want to say we had a $1.25 million budget on paid advertising. We received more than 58 million impressions. Now remember what I said, impression is an individual touch with the brand. More than 58 million. On our media coverage, so this is what we earned through media outreach. It also included social media when things got picked up and perpetuated. Approximately 3 billion impressions. The equivalent ad value of that is approximately 28 million. If we had bought that same time and space, it would have been about $28 million. So total impressions were north of 3 billion on a $1.25 million budget. So essentially the cost was 4/1,000ths of a dollar per touch. We really care about being good stewards of our budget. Next, a few final insights I wanted to leave you with. First, the 5% rule. I'm just offering this up for learning. The 5% rule says that for entities of any kind across any industry vertical to remain static, to not lose market position, 5% of your total revenue should be your ad budget. Susan's eyes just raised. For us, on a $496 million revenue, that would be a $25 million ad budget. I think we're doing really well with our 1.25, but we were happy to receive more. A report came out in August 20 by Ruffalo Noel Levitt. I'm sure you're familiar with them. That stated that the cost to market to a new student, to get a new student for a school of our size, public, is $420. So if you look at 50,000 students per term, again, those are some big numbers, and I just throw it out there as a point of comparison that we've squeezed everything out of the budget that we possibly can. As I said, current budget of 1.25. The budget that you have given us is $2 million, which we are very appreciative of. So with that expanded budget and looking forward, we'd like to revise our paid media strategy in response to the changing target audience preference and behavior. So again, if people are cutting the cord on cable, we need to take some discretionary budget and put it into streaming and the other places where they're taking their eyes and their ears. Second, we'd like to pursue more opportunities to take TCC to the community, such as pop-up information center sessions, pop-up application sessions. We've got one MOGO unit that's operable. We've got one that can be fixed. Let's go where people, don't make people come to us. Let's go and see them. Third, we'd like to increase participation in those activation events, as I mentioned, like Main Street that's coming back, Dallas Wings, other places that are relevant, where we've got our community outreach folks that can come and help really encourage them to apply. Take a look at what we have to offer. And then finally, we'd like to increase the use of storytelling via all of our own channels. So that is basically content journalism. It's doing student testimonials, alumni testimonials. We work very closely now with the foundation, but we have an opportunity as they're doing more with alumni relations for us to maximize that as well. So finally, I'd just like to say I love my job. I've got the best team ever, some 40 of us across all of the disciplines. The Chancellor has mentioned in a few of the last meetings that we've received a few awards. We don't work for awards. We work for the college. However, it's really nice to know how our work stacks up against all industry verticals. And so I'm very proud to say that since 2016, our team has racked up 269 regional, national, and international awards for marketing and creative excellence. And we're up with the Disneys and the Walmarts and the Bank of America. And thank you. It's a team sport. In particular, Reach Magazine, 73 awards. The This Is College TV campaign that you just saw part of, 12. The Everyday Heroes video that we created that was used to tell the story of what would the world look like without Tarrant County College, 10 international awards. So we're really proud of the work we do. And we're really proud of the trust that you put in me and in our team. And we're always happy to come and show you what we're working on. So, and if you've got ideas, we're always happy to hear them. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Suzanne, thank you so much for that. I'm sure we've got some comments to come along, so just hang tight. That was excellent, and congratulations to you and your team. I know y'all do a fantastic job, and y'all have been just received so many accolades over the years. So
Thank you.
We appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone have any comments? Ms. Wood, did you have a comment? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Not yet. No, Susan and I may have been. This is important for all of us. The outreach that this college does is what it's all about, and I think that you're giving us this information is important to let us know. And if you have ideas, I have to admit that I have a son who does this kind of work, and he kind of says, well, what kind of questions can I ask Suzanne? And he gave me some words I didn't understand, so you made it understandable, but thank you. I think it's really important that, and the results, it's difficult to define results in this world, so we may be asking you some questions about results coming forward. I don't know, but we'll see. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I have to make a comment. My daughter came to TCC because of the marketing that was sent out to the high school students, and that was many years ago. She's now in marketing. So I know how important those impressions are because she tells me, and she explains to me why when I look at a pair of shoes that it follows me everywhere I go. So it works very, very well, and congratulations. It's awesome. I really appreciate your presentation.
Thank you very much.
I have one question. I follow lots of different types of social media, and I will share really anything that TCC will put out there on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. How do I ensure that I am on all of your electronic distribution lists? Because I feel like I get some of them, but I mean, and I know that that's a dangerous question or request to ask, but I think that I would love the opportunity to see how all of those different mediums come across to somebody who's on the distro list.
So are you asking for the things that we are pushing out, or
for any information that you're pushing, like, and some of the things I wrote down, like the TCC talk, the digital reach?
You should be on that list by virtue of your being a trustee, but we'll ask Gina if we'll double check and make sure that all the new trustees are added. And also that you're getting our Reach magazine, which we're super proud of. Okay. Oh, I didn't. I wanted to mention, if you go to YouTube and you type in Tarrant County College advertising, we have a channel. And it's also under TCC News. If you go back a month or two on the story that we did on our new ad campaign, we provide the link to the YouTube channel where you can see not just this campaign, but the last two we did before that. So it gives you the full body of work since we've been back on television. Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
I just want to thank you for all the work. I believe one thing that I've always said is this is the best kept secret in Tarrant County. It's Tarrant County College, and we really do need to get the word out, make sure that people know about it. Every time I hear of something that's just crazy to me, like I didn't know they had a nursing program. I didn't know they had auto mechanic program. I'm going, how can you not know? Because certain campuses, that's what they're really known for. And so, but there are still pockets of people that don't know, or at least they say they don't know. And I don't do the spots and the other things you were talking about. I'm almost 70 years old, so I can barely do Facebook, and I don't write on it. I just look.
Oh, you're one of those.
I'm one of those.
Okay.
I'm a voyeur.
Okay. I think they call it trolling or something. I don't know. But anyway, well, but thank you. It's, the great thing about this role and this function in general is that it's been 8.5 years and we haven't scratched the surface as long as I've been here. There's miles to go and a lot of layers to dig up. So thank you all very much.
I think, did you have a comment?
I just wanted to comment. It's always exciting when I'm watching ESPN or some of the sports, to see the TCC stories pop up. You don't feel like your life is really real unless you see it on TV or in the media. So, great job. Thank you for all of the work.
Thank you.
Suzanne, I have a quick question, and thank y'all for all of your comments. You were talking about the touches that the impressions and things like that.
Right.
So how do we actually get that number to know that it's 58 million or what? I mean,
Well, there are different ways. So
Okay.
we on earned coverage, earned
Yes.
media,
Uh-huh.
we have a media monitoring service that we use.
Okay.
And so it tells us not only how many, it gets really granular, not
No,
how
that's
many
okay.
stories,
Uh-huh.
that type of thing, the maximum potential readership,
Oh, I see.
and then the corresponding ad value. And we can even go in and find out if it's positive, negative, or neutral coverage, which we do. And most of it's positive, just for you guys to know. On paid media, that is part of what you buy, right? So you're looking at, it's almost like going to the grocery store. How much can I get of this for this much? And so that's when you start looking at, time and frequency and saturation. But that's part of what you're buying because they have their mechanisms to track it.
Okay.
So I can't tell you it's exact. I can't get it down to the exact penny, but based on all of the aggregate reports that we get, this is what we come in at.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and just to kudos to the group, this is really helpful. I've distributed this to several people, and we all have opportunities to go and to speak to people in our community. And I've shared this, and folks just love this. And I've had several people that have contacted me because they've read this and said, "Hey, who do I contact about?" Because I read about something on this little card. And so just thank you for this. This is very helpful for us as we go out and talk to folks and share this information.
And we'll be doing things like that now that we're operational in Pathways and the web team. I need to give huge kudos because they spent about 3 years getting all the Pathways pieces put together and incorporating burning glass information. But having 5 pathways that we can market gives us a lot more opportunity than trying to individually market 70-plus programs. So you'll be seeing more of those types of things.
Well, and you mentioned something about departments, that you work with various departments, and something about the foundation. So how do we work with promoting the foundation work and things like that?
So
Just
we're on
curious.
that path right now. I've been working most closely with them on we're going to start looking at website, but also on their employee annual giving campaign, and then just serving as kind of in an advisory capacity to Dr. Bennett as she's looking to put all of her things together.
Right.
And then same with corporate solutions. We have been supportive of them through different stages of the decision-making process, setting up their website, et cetera. So we do touch a lot of other areas of the organization that we're not directly responsible for.
And my final question is, you talked about we try to reach all the students, as many as we possibly can. So everybody, of course, we have international students, we have local students. So how do we work within a group? Do we have them work with our EI department, or how do we address those? What's the best way to reach students and that that maybe English is not their first language because they're from another country? So how do we focus on those areas?
That has been a lesser focus, I guess, since I've been here, because we're trying through T3 and other things, trying to make sure that our county folks are coming to us first. And so we do support CACO, who's in our high schools every day, very heavily with materials, key messages, video, that type of thing. we've tried not to use a boil the ocean strategy because everybody is our potential student.
Absolutely,
So we've
yeah.
really had to kind of look at consistently through the statistical handbook year over year, what are the key feeder codes that we know are always coming, where those students are always coming, and play from our strengths. I mean, that's what our human and financial resources have enabled us to do at this point.
Great. Well, you'll do a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you
this.
very much.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Suzanne. Ms. Howell, to your two questions, I meet monthly with a group, Foundation, Corporate Solutions, and Marketing. So we meet monthly to ensure that our efforts are coordinated way. The other, related to your last question around reaching out to other, populations, ESL and others, I think have mentioned, re-engineered our strategy around educational outreach. In fact, to be more outreach, to be in the communities, to serve the folks that are most in need of those programs. Those folks aren't necessarily going to make it to a college. And so the efforts to promote or to market or whatever are really being much more in person, if you will, in reaching out to those communities and relationships with community centers and churches and such.
If there are no further questions, we're going to be going into closed session.
Can I
do you
just pose a question?
Sure. Go ahead, Dr. Morrison.
Headquarters has been relocated to Trinity River campus, and the thought occurred to me, should the name for this whole complex be revisited such that it's not just Trinity River campus, but that it's now a complex?
So you can certainly have that dialogue, but I will offer up, one of the things that we're very intentful in this move is to ensure that there is no unequalness or unevenness as it relates to the district office being at one campus. And so we've had people say, is it headquarters now? Is it central? No, there are just people. The new people work in this building, in this campus. That's all. So we can have that discussion, but I want there is a cultural sensitivity in a district office being housed and located at one campus, and I think you probably imagine what some of those some of those thoughts may be. The favorite child or that kind of thing. And so we've been very cautious for that not to happen. That doesn't mean we can't visit your suggestion, but I just want to put that out there.
Because we actually had two campuses here, and now we have the district office here, and it is a complex. So just the question, just for greater minds, I was told that if I think I'm the smartest person in the room, I need to find a new room. So I admit I'm not the smartest person in the room. I just wanted to throw that out.
No, again, I appreciate it, and we can certainly visit it. I just want to make that as a point because it is a college decision that impacts a lot of perception. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Okay, did somebody have a question? Oh.
I just wanted to
go
note
ahead.
that I got my new cards today. And it says administrative offices, 300 Trinity Campus Circle. I mean, it's pretty neutral. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. The TCCD board will conduct a closed meeting as authorized by Section 551 of the Texas Government Code in order to seek the advice of its attorney, B, deliberate real property matters, C, deliberate personnel matters, or D, deliberate security devices or security audits. Yeah, we're going to stay in here, Mr. Gates, or are we going to the other? Okay.
We're all good.
This is a little bit. You can have whatever spot you want. Okay. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to sit. That's fine. Stand. That's fine.
You good?
Okay. The board will now reconvene in open session, and the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Mr. Hornsby and Dr. Morrison. We're good. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll see everyone in a month. Yes.